In the Playboy Mazda MX-5 Cup this season, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And the finish at Road America, the season's most dramatic by far. Plenty of hard feelings and several damaged race cars. Today, we head north of the border to a legendary layout. Will the sparks fly again at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park? We'll find out next. Welcome to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. We're in Bowmanville, Ontario, Canada for the Playboy Mazda MX-5 Cup on the Mazda Motorsports Hour. Today it's the Grand Prix of Mosport. Hello again, everyone. I'm Rick Benjamin. Champion road racer Randy Popes is alongside Mark Allen has our coverage today down on Pit Road. They've renamed this place, but Randy, we know it as Mosport International Raceway. New name, still the same nasty old place.
I'll tell you what, it's a combination of love and fear for me. It's a track that has fast corners over blind hills. It's got a long straightaway, which in the MX-5 Cup is going to make for some great action, but a lot of fear because it's so intimidating, so great.
Some of the stars of this series have reason to fear this place. Many had never seen now Canadian Tire Motorsport Park before. Earlier, Mark Allen caught up with our third-place runner in the points chase, Christian Shimshak, who had his moments here on Friday.
Christian, your car is showing the battle damage from a hard hit in practice. What happened?
Well, it went out yesterday's practice session, second practice session of the day. I had new pads on the car. Went and bedded the pads in the first lap, got them hot, heated them up, and then cooled the pads the following lap. Went into turn 5 into the braking zone there, and I had no brakes. So that's what happened. Car just went sailing off into the exit of turn 5 and hit the concrete wall.
So what are your plans for the race, and how will this affect the title chase, because you have apparently a couple of cracked ribs?
So I'm thinking I can participate in tomorrow's race, if only for a lap or two, to get the minimum points, get last place points, which will actually, will be a lot better than not racing at all.
Now, Christian Shimshak, Randy Popes, has got to pass an escape test before he can suit up for the race.
Rick, he's going to be coming back just trying to get the points he can get.
Last time out at Road America, contact coming to the checkered flag. Points penalty on the driver of the black car, Dean Copeland. Mark Allen talked to the series competition director about the decision.
Todd, a most dramatic and most discussed finish at Road America. Can you explain what the intent of the rules in this series are first?
Yeah, absolutely. The Playboy MX-5 Cup Series is a spec series, and anytime you have a spec series, you have really close racing, which is what's great for the sport, great for the crowd, great for the drivers. But that leads to overdriving and making some bad judgment calls, which leads to crashing, etc. So over the last few years, the series has tried to control that by enforcing penalties if there is contact between someone. So as far as the finish of Road America, what we had was some defensive driving that went over the line of defensive driving to basically blocking. The series has a rule of you can make one move to be defensive, but if you make multiple moves on a straightaway, then it impedes the progress of the car behind you, then that's considered a block. And in the case at the finish of Road America, we had more than one move, and that resulted in the penalty.
Well, one move is the fundamental rule of racing, and Dean came back. And it's just too bad. It should have really been just a rub.
Our Balkazian's team has put his car back together. He'll start 5th today. John Dean will be the pole sitter this afternoon. Mark Allen caught up with him earlier.
John, of course, every driver wants to start from the pole, but why may that be particularly important today?
Well, the nature of this track, you really need to control the race from the front. It's difficult to pass here. There's only a couple passing opportunities. So we knew we needed to start at the front. We also knew we needed the 5 points for pole. And we were ecstatic yesterday to find out that we were on pole and that we ran another track record. So we're kind of 2 for 2 from Road America and then now here in Mosport.
All right, field pulling away here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, heading down the hill from turn 1 down toward turn 2. And Randy Popes, this is such a great racetrack, all the history. We're going to see a terrific show today. John Dean starts up front, championship leader Stephen McAleer alongside. Mark Miller returns to the series, and Elliott Skier, the Mazda Speed scholarship driver, the young development driver, will line up fourth. There's Balkazian, last race winner in 5th. And, of course, Nathaniel Sparks alongside. Sebastian Landy. The Landys appearing for the first time this year. Brett Mosing will take the 10 car out of the 8th position. Chris Windsor, first time out with us this year. Emily Timitovich in the True Car entry. She will start 10th. That is the 19 car. Forrest Landy in the 41 will line up 11th. Alan Delatra will start 12th in the 29. Christian Shimshak will go 13th in that borrowed ride. That is one of the Alara cars that he will enter. And then, of course, the Mazda Speed Pro Challenge Skip Barber cars. Brian Hickson and Zachary Lee, David Knight and Brian Maxey, and Greg Holloway will round out the group. Randy Popes, 5 races to go in the season, a pretty tight points chase.
It's been amazing, the ups and downs, the penalties, the wins, and McAleer back in the lead.
Before we get going, let's check in with Mark Allen.
Guys, drivers who qualified outside the top 6 said getting to the front is possible. The reason this track is so difficult that everyone up front is going to make some mistakes. The question is whether those mistakes will happen where passing is possible.
All right, let's take a look at some of those places. The course layout here, about 2.5 miles around this place. Randy, show us what's key here.
Well, the best opportunity in an MX-5 Cup is going to be to draft on that straight, but you're probably going to have to take it around the outside. Also, turn 2, fast as you can over the top of that hill, but hang on.
And our Mazda keys to the race.
Bravery, turn 2. Bravery, turn 4. Bravery, turn 8. These fast entries at Mosport are terrific, and they need slow hand speeds. The tighter corners, turn 10, turn 5, 5A, fast hand speed. And if you've got experience at Mosport, it's a great advantage. John Dean doing a great job to get on the pole with very little experience here.
All right, getting set for our standing start. Jim Brown holds up the 5-second board on the front straightaway at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Dean and McAleer up front, and we are underway.
McAleer's off a little bit better than Dean. I don't think he's going to get around the outside, though.
Dean with the preferred line down low in turn 1, coming up to this very difficult turn 2.
They're up to the top of 3rd. They're up into the 4th. They're going 100 miles an hour as they crest that hill, blind, and float it over the hill. McAleer looks so smooth there in practice.
Nathaniel Sparks, our Malcasian, fighting for 5th position right now. Field away cleanly. Dean and McAleer nose to tail.
Sparks has a good qualifying position. They call him Sparky. Great guy, racing with his dad as the crew guy, and one of my favorites in the series.
Starting to get some help from the 6 sideways guys as well. They're working closer and closer together as the weeks go on, trying to be strong, have a good 3-car effort at the front here as we get into the latter stages of the 2012 season. Now this, the very difficult setup point for the backstretch.
Turn 5, and it looked like Skier got a little out of shape entering 5A and coming on that long back straight. Let's see how the draft is going to work up that hill. I am sure the MX-5s are going to really get a pull from the car ahead of them.
Coming up the backstretch here. Now this leads to one of the best passing opportunities, turn 8. But Randy, this is where you were talking about, got to have that courage, the experience factor, pretty important here.
Oh yeah, you got to try to get them around the outside typically.
Our Replay XD on board look here. Elliott Skier picks up a position on the inside.
He's right down the inside. The car ahead was not taking that line to block, and he's picked up the position. A good pass.
Skier hustling that race car up front. It is still Dean, McAleer in second. There's Skier and Mark Miller right behind him.
We're finishing 1 lap of many to go here at Mosport, and up in turn 10, almost flat for turn 1. You just barely got a lift, and those are the hardest corners when you just barely got a lift.
And this, of course, one of those places in all the history of Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. I think a driver sometimes has to kind of talk him or herself into staying in the gas at this point.
Oh, that is so true, Rick. And turn 2 is another place. Look at John Dean. He's brave all the way to the curbing. We talked about it. You need bravery.
Into the right-hander.
One of the challenges at Mosport is that concrete. See that patch we're looking at there? They've got that in almost every corner, and it is slick. It makes it a difficult thing. You come from the asphalt onto the concrete. Now we're looking at turn 4. A fast MX-5 is flat through that corner, and you are moving.
Now, when you change surfaces from the asphalt to the concrete, the grip level changes, doesn't it?
That's right, it goes up. Here in turn 5A, look at that concrete patch. Slippery, but at the same time, it's critical.
Christian Shimshak with those broken ribs. Now, he passed the escape test that SCCA Pro Racing officials administer. Make sure it's okay for him to start this race. He's hustling that 12 car nicely. This doesn't look like a guy who's thinking of 1 or 2 laps and I'll pull in.
I know. He must be wearing those pads on his ribs like the go-karters wear. But Shimshak's a racer. I've seen it in his driving. He's going to go for it.
His teammate John Dean up front, the 34 car that Shimshak normally drives, heavily damaged in that practice wreck that cost him a couple of cracked ribs here. Dean looking smooth, and Randy, we were talking earlier, John Dean, a guy, never has been to this place before. Most of the drivers in the field, no experience at all at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
There was a lot of talk about that in the paddock before the race, figuring out this circuit, and John Dean is holding a little bit of a lead on his own. He's just going good.
McAleer, Skier, Miller, and Sparks, the rest of the top 5. Welcome back to the Mazda Motorsports Hour. We are at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, the old Mosport International Raceway. Randy Pope's alongside. I'm Rick Benjamin. Mark Allen with our coverage on pit road. Playboy Mazda MX-5 Cup, round number 7 of the 2012 season. And John Dean, very impressive. The former drifting star.
Yeah, and here he is in turn 2, running loose. Look at that sideways out in the dirt. Holy cow, you're flying there.
And that's that drifting expertise, perhaps.
I think it's not just bravery he's got great car control. He can drive it sideways, just like the team name.
Dean out in front of the 16 car, 4 laps are on the board, and then you've got the C.J. Wilson squad pressuring heavily here. McAleer. Then it's Elliott Skier, the Mazda Speed Driver Development Scholarship winner, and behind him, engineer Mark Miller, who was such a strong contender in this series a couple of seasons ago, back in the saddle this weekend.
It's like 3-on-1. John Dean's out there. He doesn't have his road buddy there. You know, Shimshak and Dean, they were just hooking up and drafting.
Yeah.
But right now, they don't seem to be able to pull up on Dean on that straightaway. I'm not seeing as much of an effect of the draft as I expected. Maybe because the straightaway is steeply uphill for a lot of it.
Now explain to our viewers, as we watch him move for the lead here, comes McAleer fanning out a little bit, trying to get a run on John Dean. Bump drafting is illegal in this series. SCCA Pro Racing officials spend a lot of time working with the drivers and teams. Back on board, our Replay XD view of Elliott Skier at work in his machine. Can you get a draft effect without being tucked up right on somebody's bumper here?
You don't have to push them, but you do have to be as close as possible. And the MX-5s with an open car with no top, they're aerodynamically punching a pretty good hole. There's a lot of turbulence. They generate a good draft, and we saw McAleer get a little run, but John Dean did what I consider the right thing. He chose the inside line, so you got to go around the outside, buddy. That's a long way.
On board Christian Shimshak, again, our Replay XD onboard views here. Shimshak in the Alara 12 car, borrowing this ride for the weekend from Aaron Malkasian. He's working behind one of the Copeland Motorsports cars. That's the 07. It's being driven this weekend by Sebastian Landy, the rookie from Great Falls, Virginia. Before the race, this is a look at Shimshak as he prepared to pass the SCCA's escape test.
What are you looking for him to be able to do, and in what time duration does he have to do it?
Well, like anybody else, it doesn't matter whether his ribs are hurt or not. Doesn't matter. It's 15 seconds from the time I yell go. He needs to hit his ignition switch off, which is power, kill power to the car, and then we simulate hitting a fire bottle in case that's necessary. And then he has to get out of the car and both feet on the ground in 15 seconds.
Okay, stand by.
Now, I just lived this
Yeah.
in my Volvo S60. I had a fire, and I had to get out of that car as quick as I could. Pretty much, we should do it blindfolded. You're grabbing the belts. You're grabbing the radio. You go for the window net. In an MX-5, you go straight through the roof. I would have if I could have.
Yeah, you don't need to go out the window here, and Christian Shimshak passes nicely, gets out in 11 seconds. But I was there when that test was being conducted. I watched his eyes. He was in excruciating pain until he could get up on top of the roll cage to get out safely. That's a guy who wanted to race today.
Well, he's a racer, and I think everybody in this series is that way. Really, MX-5 Cup is a racer's series because MX-5s are drivers' cars.
Yeah. It's fantastic to watch what these drivers and teams are able to do in these Playboy Mazda MX-5 Cup machines. Now, Christian Shimshak closing the gap on the team principal. Aaron Malkasian, the winner, of course, at Road America a couple of weeks ago. We showed you the late race contact with Dean Copeland. How about this? You borrow the guy's car and then you dust him off?
I know. Shimshak is just going really well. And now Era's got to be wondering about that deal he made to rent him that car. But, boy, look at the gap to the leaders, though.
Yeah.
That's big. Era's just not on the pace like he has been. I wonder if maybe there's some little of leftover damage from the big hit at Road America.
Makes you wonder, and Shimshak swings out to make the move, gets waved by Malkasian. We jump on board with Era, our Replay XD onboard views here.
And waving a driver by like that when he's quicker is a good move strategically because you relieve that pressure of that guy hanging in your mirrors.
Christian Shimshak with a lot of pressure, trying to remain a championship contender in a borrowed ride. Let's get an update on his drive. Here's Mark.
Guys, 24 hours before the race, Christian told us he would start and park the number 12 car. He's now running in the top 5. I asked his crew, I said, what happened to that plan? They said, he's got a great car, no chance he's gonna park it.
Way to go, Christian.
Yeah. Get those, you get the adrenaline flowing, you feel a lot better in the race car, don't you?
I'll tell you what, adrenaline is the greatest pain reliever ever built. If I ever feel something while I'm driving that hurts, it's really bad.
Yeah, it has to be in this case. John Dean continues to lead 9 laps around the board. Watching this battle up front, top 4 nose to tail here. Dean continuing to hold the C.J. Wilson cars at bay, all 3 of them. And then you've got that battle for 5th and 6th. Shimshak in charge right at the moment out of 5A.
Look at the way John Dean comes off of 5A. That is a key to being fast at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, because it leads on that long straightaway, and that's why McAleer is having trouble getting by him. John Dean's got a good setup coming off that slow corner. If you're 2 or 3 miles an hour faster out of the corner, you're 2 or 3 miles an hour faster all the way down the straight. And so the draft, it's not enough yet for McAleer to get there. At least I don't think so.
Now let's take a look back a couple of laps ago. Aaron Malkasian waving Christian Shimshak by on the outside, giving him a lot of room.
I am surprised at the speed difference here. Shimshak caught him hard. I mean, he started last in the MX-5 class.
Down into turn 1, heading for 2. A little bit of smoke showing out of Shimshak's car. Shimshak, all of a sudden, Malkasian right up on him.
Oh,
Has he got a problem there?
Yeah, could that be tire smoke? It was in the right-hander. Let's see if it happens in the left-hander also.
Christian Shimshak, of course, in this borrowed ride, trying to stay in the hunt for this year's championship. Back on board, Aaron Malkasian, the Replay XD onboard cameras here. We'll see what happens.
And it's funny thing is, Aaron's watching that car, and he owns that car.
Sure.
And, boy, he's got a run on him. Something is up with Shimshak's car.
Christian Shimshak's bid to bag a good finish here today with those cracked ribs apparently is over. Under one of the bridges here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, off the pace, and problems as well for Brett Mosing in one of the other Alara entries in the 10. He's got a cut left front tire. John Dean continues to lead it. Before the start today, fans at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park getting up close and personal with some of the stars of the Playboy Mazda MX-5 Cup Series.
It's a lot of fun to be able to talk to the people right up front, and they know who you are, they like you, they like the paint job on your car.
Brett Mosing, though, does not like what happened to the left front tire on his machine, and here comes Christian Shimshak. The other Alara entry still under power, but obviously a serious problem on that race car.
Yeah, it was smoking pretty good around turn 1 there, and so maybe he's thankful, but I think the pain's going to return now.
Yeah.
The adrenaline's gone.
John Dean has been in control of this one all the way, but Stephen McAleer far from giving up. Back on board with Elliott Skier, the Replay XD onboard cameras showing you him at work.
Elliott's hoping that there's going to be trouble up front. Maybe he can go all the way to the top. They're coming into the corner, and McAleer and Dean are duking it out. Skier's trying to take advantage of that battling.
Oh, in trouble for Emily Tominovich in the True Car 19. She has spun off. That's down the hill heading toward turn 2.
Turn 2. She looks like she's in one piece, so thank goodness. Oh, that's a big one at the bottom
cameras.
of that hill.
Yeah, give you a great look.
She's praying right now. Look at that wall.
Seeing that tire barrier there, you know that's a big hit if you get into it.
Oh, my gosh. Emily got a favor from the racing gods. I'm glad to see it.
Leaders starting to lap by some of the Skip Barber Mazda Speed Pro Challenge entries here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
And, Rick, you can still see Emily's tracks back there in turn 2. That was hairy. I'm glad she got away with it.
A little bit of a warning, maybe, to some other drivers as we go through the day. Closing in on halfway, your leader is John Dean in the 6 sideways 16 car. Closing in on Brian Maxey's machine. Let's take you back. Stephen McAleer, Replay XD onboard view in second spot, now heading toward 5.
Now we got a little traffic to deal with. This can be real tricky. Dean bounces it over the curb, and now McAleer's got somebody right in the way as he comes out of that critical turn 5A.
Battle here for position. Mark Miller, meantime, has gotten around Elliott Skier for the spot, so third spot to Mark Miller. Skier gets shuffled back one.
Maybe Mark's just trying to tow him. It might be a little teamwork.
Take advantage of the pass at least to try to reel in the leaders. Meantime, what became of Christian Shimshak? Here's Mark Allen.
Christian, clearly strain on your face from your injured ribs, but had you not had a mechanical problem, could you have gotten all the way to the finish?
Oh, could I have gotten to the finish? I think so. I was holding a pretty steady pace, I think, and a pretty consistent stamina. So I found it was difficult at first, but I think I got into a rhythm at some point, and it was painful in the right-hand corners, but you know, all I had to do was hold my breath through those, and I could catch them on the straightaway. So.
You know what? The rib injuries make you sound exactly like Captain Kirk. Well, I had a little tough time.
He was hurting. You could tell. You could tell. Now, Nathaniel Sparks and
That's
Sebastian Landy side by side for position here on the front stretch.
I like the way Landy threw it into turn 10 sideways. Sparks, if he stays smooth, he's going to get him at some point. But Landy is making some speed.
Sebastian Landy and his dad Forrest, kind of a one-off. They're out of Great Falls, Virginia. This is one of the Copeland cars that Sebastian's driving. I'm very impressed.
Yeah, he's doing a good job. Sparks is quick, and here they are duking it out.
Heading toward turn 5 and 5A once again. Landy and Sparks battling for the spot here, and Nathaniel Sparks thinking, I got to get by this guy. He's not a series regular. I need the points today.
Yeah, I think Landy's a little more loose than Sparks is. It reminds me of the way John Dean's car looks, and maybe these MX-5s like to be a little loose here at Mosport, our Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. I can't imagine.
Up the backstretch one more time, heading toward turn 8. Mark Miller, Elliott Skier battling for third. Here's Skier, the Replay XD onboard view. Look at what he does here. Does he try to go to the outside, or does he stay tucked in tight?
I think he's just trying to work that draft. He doesn't touch him, though, because that's against the rules, and SCCA Pro Racing is very strict about that contact.
Now, Randy, you talked at the start of the broadcast today, one of your keys to the race, about how much you use your hands, how much wheel you put into the car. What do you see from Elliott Skier?
And right here in turn 10, it takes a lot of wheel. Kind of like we saw with Landy. You got to crank it in. Turn 1, just a little.
Before the start today, Mark Allen caught up with the young driver, Elliott Skier, to talk a little bit about this racetrack and the race team he's with.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the more unique circuits when strategy comes into play. It's not the standard circuit where you can just throw it under somebody in a deep braking zone. You really have to start planning your move 3 or 4 corners beforehand. And with the main straight being uphill, drafting is going to be a huge effect here. Luckily, it seems like we have the most cars up in the front, so we're hoping that we can almost use the powers and number advantage and see if we could somehow work that into a strategy to be there in the end.
You'd like to think a 4-car team would have an advantage here, but John Dean kind of showing everybody the way around.
Yeah, but I think Mark Miller is playing teammate in tow and Elliott Skier, who really impresses me. The winners of the Mazda shootout are usually really valid winners, and Elliott is one of those guys. Lots of potential as a pro racer.
At 17, he still has a lot to learn, but you've got to be impressed with how smooth he is, how well-spoken he is. Those are critical elements to success in this sport. John Dean's got a lot of things going for him as well as he continues to lead here. And Stephen McAleer, a young driver we've come to really have a lot of regard for, takes another look, trying to get the lead away, but Dean able to keep the door closed.
And here we go, the 2-car train of Miller and Skier. John Dean, he's got car control, he's got speed. McAleer's got the smoothness, and it's interesting to watch these 2 drivers duking it out. See John hanging that car out? You can tell he's done a lot of drifting. Good thing about drifting is you never spin.
Well, no, because it's a controlled spin all the time, right?
That's right. It gives you that good car control, and that just seems to be working for John. And I think that ability he has to control a slide makes him brave over these corners. He knows whatever happens, he can handle it.
Armel Cashin, meantime, running 7th all by himself now in his 11 car. Championship hopes still alive for Ara, but he's got to bag another win or 2. In the Skip Barber Mazda Speed Pro Challenge, meantime, Zachary Lee pretty quick today in the 62 car. He's from San Antonio, one of our full season contenders, and he is the leader in that category. Brett Mosing, the Elara team, has put a new tire on the 10 car.
And there's my buddy John Doonan. He handles all the racing for Mazda in North America.
Yeah, loves this sport, loves to watch what goes on in the Playboy Mazda MX-5 Cup. There's Brian Hickson, meantime, in the 63 car, second right now in the Mazda Speed Pro Challenge. John Dean in the 6 sideways car has led all the way into the second half of this one. McAleer is right behind him in second. Then it's Miller, Skier, and Sebastian Landy. A taste of Mazda momentum in Canada. Here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, Mazda Canada gathering a raft of beautiful Mazdas and their owners and drivers to learn more about the brand and how racing works.
What we're seeing today is everyone's just kind of interacting. Like you're seeing the MX-5, the Miata Club interacting with the Toronto Mazda 3 Club, which is nice. So we really have almost every vehicle line represented, and it's great to see them all chatting together.
And so just like in the States, motorsport's pretty important to Mazda Canada, I imagine.
It's becoming more and more so over the past year or so. We've really found, who's out there in terms of motorsports fans, and really trying to interact with them, find out what they need in terms of support. We're just taking it one step at a time, but it's really coming together quite well.
And the big guy's my good friend Marlon from the Cleveland 6 Club.
Aha.
Here we are back into turn 6. Wow, they're going for it, and boy, you got to throw it into that corner, but they're fighting for third.
Mark
John
Miller,
Dean's
Elliott
still
Skier, yeah, they've been nose to tail just about all day. We've got 17 laps on the board here. And Randy, you were saying, even though in this situation, John Dean has led all the way so far, the battling's been very tough.
You know what? It's never a letdown. Constantly pushing to try to gain speed, gain time, get that first position, get the third position, whatever you can do to get the guy ahead of you. I really think Mark is trying to help Elliott here.
Just by showing him the way around or giving him a tow, or what do you think?
Towing him.
Really, that's the big key.
The corners are so fast at Mosport that you get a draft there.
Battling for the lead, meantime, Stephen McAleer continuing to try to find a way around John Dean.
He had a little shot at him there. He was up alongside the fender, but it wasn't enough. And this is that turn 5A. Let's watch John come off the corner. Pulls him a couple of car lengths, and now it takes time to get that back. John Dean's just got a better setup off of 5A.
Exit speed is critical at a place like this, especially with this long straightaway, I know. Is that a case of Dean just being maybe a little freer when he comes off the corner, being willing to use more of the road?
It could be that the BFG tires have so much grip that if the car's understeering, it actually kind of acts like a brake and slows the car down. You got to be free.
Stephen McAleer, meantime, right behind in that C.J. Wilson car. He has been second all day, tried a lot of different lines, especially on the backstretch, trying to figure out a way around Dean. He hasn't been able to solve the puzzle yet.
No, and you know what? John Dean's got a lot of pressure. McAleer's right there in his mirrors. I know what that feels like. You cannot make a mistake. One mistake, look at that. Stephen McAleer's right there to pounce. So Dean's just making it work. You know what? I'll bet John is just ignoring those mirrors, as we say in the game, keeping his head down and just driving.
And of course, how you pass, where you pass, when you're lapping slower traffic, all of those things are so crucial. And as you say, make any kind of mistake, miss a shift, be a little early on braking or late. Any of those things can cost you the race.
Did you see how he went by that lap car?
He didn't waste any time.
There's a big difference, especially entering turn 2. Now we're coming out of turn 3. All these corners are quick enough. The draft still matters.
Sure, and picking your spot, deciding where you're going to make that pass. Now, sometimes when there's a big speed differential, you don't have that choice, but he had a perfect opportunity to go by that slower machine.
Well, I think he got a little bit of help, but he took advantage of it. You got to just take him right then and there. You cannot hesitate.
On board again with Elliott Skier. Running behind Mark Miller here, the Replay XD onboard view, giving you a good idea of Skier at work here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
I like the way he snaps that shift lever. One of the things MX-5s are known for is how quick their shifting is. They got one of the greatest gearboxes in any sports car. And I guarantee you, Mark Miller is helping out Elliott Skier here. He's actually his coach.
For third spot, Skier taking a look on the outside. Elects to tuck back in behind Miller.
Turn 8's got a big, long entry, high-speed corner. Now, a quick downshift. This is the quick hand speed. Turn 9, quick left. Turn 10, a hard right. These are tighter corners where you throw the car into it a little bit, and then down into the fast corner of turn 1 where you have that slow hand speed.
At Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, the front straightaway where start finish is one of the shortest straight sections of this course. So again, how you attack this place, really critical.
Yeah, and guess what? Turn 1's so fast, you don't slow down much. Neither is turn 2. The faster you go, the slower your inputs have to be. That's what I mean when I say slow hand speed. You lay the car into the corner. With an MX-5 Cup, which is a handling car more than a horsepower car, it's important to be smooth and not scrub off too much speed. So in those fast corners, you just gotta lay it in there, slowly turning the wheel, trusting it's gonna grip. Entering turn 4, we're light, and then it drops down and hooks up right there. Now into 5, lots of direction change, lots of steering input. 5A, the most on the whole track. Very important for leading onto this long uphill straightaway.
Skier tucked up right behind Mark Miller. Engineer, driving coach Miller's been at this game a while now. Skier at 17, really starting to learn. And this is part of the whole discussion, I think, of racecraft, Randy, learning what to do at certain points in a race. These are short events, 45 minutes here. You got to make every lap count.
I think Skier's trying to make the draft count right now up the back straightaway. He's getting up alongside, trying an outside pass. And in the lead, John Dean still hanging on.
Dean and Stephen McAleer, 1-2. Dean in the 6 sideways cars, been out in front all the way. Lap starting to wind down here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Dean's done a great job with maybe a little bit of a loose race car today, but boy, he gets the most out of that machine.
He certainly does. He is doing a good job, Rick Benjamin, and he's got a lot of pressure on him. Every minute, he's got that pressure.
Trying to win the championship here in the 2012 Playboy Mazda MX-5 Cup. That would be something that would provide funding for John if he desires to take another step up the ladder, perhaps to World Challenge or Grand Am. It depends on a lot of different factors here, part of the Mazda Speed Driver Development Ladder. But a lot of racing yet to be run, and Stephen McAleer's got the championship lead, not the race lead, however. More to come from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Welcome back to the Mazda Motorsports Hour, the Playboy Mazda MX-5 Cup Grand Prix of Mosport at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Our Malcasian a moment ago swinging by Nathaniel Sparks here for 5th position.
He was using that draft up the back straightaway, and he made that outside late break pass.
Our Malcasian here getting by and pulling away from Nathaniel Sparks and Sebastian Landy in the 07 machine. So Malcasian late in the race saying, hey, I better get moving here.
He's interesting. He always seems to come on stronger and stronger towards the end of the race, as he did at Road America with that wild finish for the win.
And that was the only lap this season that Aaron Malcasian's been able to lead in the Playboy Mazda MX-5 Cup, but here he is making a late race charge at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
It's good to see that kind of action, too. Nathaniel Sparks is going to try to take a shot at him off of 5A here, and he's in the ballpark. We may be able to pull that draft pass right back by him.
Talk about young drivers. Nathaniel Sparks, family-operated team out of Alabama at age 22, learning his craft here as well.
I think he's a great guy. I talked with his dad at length. His dad is a great guy, a good father, putting his son in this race series. I love my dad, but he never did that for me.
He said, here, go do this on your own, right?
Well, he did help me from time to time.
That's good. A little family sponsorship never hurts. 20 laps on the board at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Malcasian 5th, Sparks is 6th. Sebastian Landy doing a nice job in that car borrowed from Dean Copeland's team. Dean not here after the late race wreck at Road America a couple of weeks ago, missing an opportunity to keep himself in the championship hunt here this weekend.
I think Landy's real impressive as a guy who's not a regular, running with these people that are used to driving these MX-5s in the MX-5 Cup. But you know what? It's going to be tough for Nathan to get back by Malcasian, and now he may lose another position.
Yeah, Landy attacking here, trying to get 6th away from Nathaniel Sparks.
Oh, outside over the hill, you couldn't have got a sheet of paper between those cars.
Those cars battling here at what is now Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. This place getting a major facelift. It'll take a while, but you can already see a lot of the quality improvements in what we used to think of as Mosport. The man behind a lot of this is one of the great Canadian racers, our good friend Ron Fellows. Mark caught up with him early.
In a couple of years, what do you want people saying about Canadian Tire Motorsports Park?
World-class facility, and we want to be able to have world-class hosting.
What's your philosophy toward bringing this track back to its glory days?
Well, it's going to take some time, but you know, the response has been phenomenal so far this year. The Victoria Day weekend with the NASCAR Canadian Tire Series, we had a tremendous turnout. Ticket sales for the American Le Mans Series this weekend are up about 15%. And a lot of the credit goes to the support we've got from all of our sponsors, but certainly Canadian Tire has the naming rights. Their promotional reach is incredible.
It's a great facility. We've been coming here, Randy. You've raced here for a long, long time, and to see it have a new look and a new lease on life, I think is fantastic.
It really is a wonderful road circuit with the history, and I can't wait till we repave it.
Yeah, and that may be coming as well. Of course, Ron Fellows and his ownership group, they've got big plans, and the Mazda Series The Playboy Mazda MX-5 Cup and others hope to make this a home base in Canada for a long time to come. Late in the going here, Playboy Mazda MX-5 Cup. Hope you've enjoyed our coverage thus far. This one not decided yet. The Skip Barber Mazda Speed Pro Challenge entries, Zachary Lee, Brian Hickson, and some of the others putting out quite a show here as well.
And this Zachary Lee coming down, hanging it out in turn two. The Skip Barber car is a great entry-level Pro Series drive.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's Brian Hickson from San Antonio, second in that category, moving by Alain Delatre from Wilton, Connecticut. First start. That's one of the C.J. Wilson cars that he's acquired the ride in this weekend.
Well, that's brave getting out in the marbles like that. You can see there wasn't enough grip to finish the pass.
Here comes Hickson trying to size up Delatre and make a move. There's the Projections Research 6 sideways car of leader John Dean, who started to pull away here late in the going.
Oh, yeah, he's built up a little bit of a gap. I think McAleer has started to slip, and John Dean is just knocking him out, He's looking so good.
And late in the race, McAleer has been pressing so hard. What do you think, Randy? Has he just kind of worn out his stuff here, or what's the possibility?
It's possible that he used up too much of those BFG tires. That's not his style, though.
Yeah.
But John Dean, with his aggressive style, I would think that he would be the one using up more tire. But John Dean is the one making the speed.
Replay XD onboard view giving you a sense of what the gap is between first and second. We're on board with McAleer, who runs second here. Dean's pulled away 12, 15 car lengths as they come under the bridge. Now, this could be a case simply of Dean just having the equation right today.
Well, he has been strong off of 5A all day. And what's interesting is when you get a little bit of a gap like that, it can take some pressure off of you. And guess what? You go faster, especially John Dean. I was kidding him in the paddock about pushing a little too hard, using a little more brain and a little less brawn in his driving. And I got a feeling that he's probably turning the best laps of his whole race right now, Mr. Smooth.
The quality, durability, reliability of these Playboy Mazda MX-5 Cup machines on display as well here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. McAleer giving chase, but Dean starting to drive off into the sunset.
He's got the setup today. So far, so good. You never know. The race is almost over. You got to bring it home. Now the challenge is to keep the concentration. He's not letting up. I mean, we can see him hanging it right on the edge. When you're out there in those tire marks, you're out in where people don't normally drive.
Now, John Dean laying down some incredible laps. Stephen McAleer doing the same thing, but the gap's starting to widen. These are two of our championship contenders here. And the title winner this year will have help from Mazda to take another step up the driver development ladder. Meantime, is there a problem with McAleer's car? Let's go to pit road, check in with Mark Allen.
Guys, I checked with Stephen McAleer's crew, and they said that he is trying just as hard as he can, but his car is a little bit twitchy through turns 1 and 2, and they don't think they've got anything for John Dean.
Twitchy in 1 and 2. No, thank you, Rick.
Not what you want to feel in the seat of your pants, right?
No, but you know what? I think John Dean probably sets his car up that way. He's Mr. 6 sideways.
I think he's comfortable with a loose race car. I think we've established that here.
I think we've seen it demonstrated on camera, like that last turn into 5A.
Emily Tominovich goes around again in the True Car machine, the 19. She's able to gather it back up. She's learning, as is Elliott Skier. Now, moments ago, he got by Mark Miller for third spot. We've got another look at that, our Replay XD onboard cameras as they come up the backstretch.
Around the outside, like we say, that's where it's going to happen at the end of the straight.
Into 8, 9, and 10, one of the toughest parts of the course here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. And now Elliott Skier, maybe he learned all the lessons Mark Miller had to teach him.
I think he's still working on it, but Skier's got a lot of experience, even at 17 years old, as they start the last lap.
Mazda Speed Shootout winner a year ago, acquired the funding to get this ride with C.J. Wilson's team, taking advantage of it, making the most of it here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. White flag waving over the leaders. John Dean and the rest of the field, they just need to keep it in check one final time.
1 to go. Elliott Skier's got Mark Miller all over him, putting some pressure on him. Maybe he's trying to make him, work on his concentration. Because last lap, that's what it's about. It's about staying online, no mistakes, bring it home right where you are.
John Dean is your leader. Stephen McAleer in second. This again, the fight for third. Mark Miller not giving up by any stretch of the imagination.
He's all over him. If he's smart, he'll maybe try to set him up for a draft on the back straight.
John Dean, meantime, one last trip up the long Andretti straightaway here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and there's McAleer in second, trying to reel him back in, just won't have enough time to get it done today.
No, probably not unless John Dean throws it away, or if he gets in trouble with that traffic. No, the traffic might be out of range, but that always makes me nervous catching a lapper as we come to the checker.
I'll tell you what, John Dean has held a pretty wheel here all day long. He is not, even though he's been loose, I don't think he's put a wheel wrong.
No, he's going hard. I mean, if we saw his lap times, he's probably within a couple of tenths every time. He's driving a beautiful race. Here we come. Last corner, turn 10, front straightaway.
And the checkered flag waves over John Dean out of Sebring, Florida. Your winner at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park in the Playboy Mazda MX-5 Cup. His teammate, Christian Shimshak. Tough weekend, but Dean salvages a victory for the race team. All right, welcome back to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. John Dean picks up the victory today north of the border. He's in victory lane with Mark Allen.
I would have to say that looked like a pretty dominating performance out there. What was it like from your seat?
I wouldn't say it was dominating. McAleer put an amazing amount of pressure on me. You know, it was all I can do to keep the lead there, and you know, I made a couple little mistakes here or there. And I just got to hand it to the team, man. It was the best this car's been all year. Projections Research 6 Sideways team, you know, worked really hard, and it paid off today for sure. I got big props to McAleer for putting the pressure on me all race. That was fun. Nice job, dude.
Tell you what, he did just what he said. He controlled it from the front.
And he did a great job of controlling the race car as well. McAleer second, Skier, Mark Miller, Sebastian Landy, your top 5. Our Malkasian, the winner at Road America, has to settle for 6th. Emily Tominovich, the spins, she's still 10th. And Christian Shimshak battles hard, 13th, the best he could do today. We'll show you the Skip Barber Mazda Speed Pro Challenge leaderboard. Lee, the winner there. Let's talk to our runner-up. Pretty good day for Stephen McAleer.
What was he doing that you were unable to?
Well, yeah, the plan was to try and sit behind him, see if he was going to make a mistake. And then after about 2 or 3 laps in, it was getting to the point where I was the one going to make the mistake trying to hang on. So, yeah, he definitely a little bit of speed on us this weekend. And good result for the team. I'm pretty happy.
McAleer's championship lead trimmed a little by Dean with a victory. Malkasian still 3rd, then Shimshak. 13th place points, not much. Skier and Sparks, the rest of the top 6. Pretty good day, though, for the C.J. Wilson team.
Yeah, definitely. All the CJ cars were really strong this weekend. There was the cool thing with having 3 of us up front. We were able to use the power and numbers deal. Yeah, we were able to get together and battle. Everybody was saying they were all starting to run hot, so we were kind of back and forth trying to cool each other down, and it was a good race. Yeah, I really had fun with Mark out there. It was a great race.
All right, let's take a look back now on the cool-down lap. Sebastian Landy, our Malkasian get together coming up the backstretch. They're 5th and 6th. Landy 5th, Malkasian 6th.
This is the cool-down lap.
Huge contact.
Holy mackerel,
Huge
and that's
contact.
2 races in a row for Era.
I was just coming down on the cool-down lap, coming up the hill after the race, waving to the marshals, but all of a sudden, I guess he came out of nowhere and hit me on the left rear. I wasn't really expecting that, but oh well.
It was the cool-down lap, and I was just coming into the pits, passing one of the cars, and I don't know if they didn't see me or if it was retaliation for earlier kind of a racing moment we had, but was just driving down the back straight and got pushed off the edge of the track, and it was real disappointing.
A lot of damage, and SCCA Pro Racing officials gesturing to Sebastian Landy and saying, come on, have a talk with us, son. I think they weren't too happy about that.
That was absolutely crazy for those drivers. I don't know what led to it. I'd like to.
4 races to go to settle this year's championship in the Playboy Mazda MX-5 Cup. Stephen McAleer in charge. Next up, Virginia International Raceway, then Coronado, San Diego, California, and Road Atlanta to wrap things up. A doubleheader. We'll have the coverage for you right here on the Mazda Motorsports Hour. For Randy Popes and Mark Allen, I'm Rick Benjamin, congratulating your winner. John Dean takes the honors in Canada. We'll talk to you next time on the Mazda Motorsports Hour.